Dear friends, there are at least two lessons here for us this morning. In the beautiful reading we get from St John's Gospel, we begin a series of a few weeks from chapter 6, the Eucharistic Dialogue. The two lessons, I think, are very apt for us this morning. One is Philip, and the other one is the crowd. There's about 5,000 people there. Remember what it's like to be in a crowd? One day we'll see it again. Jesus wants to feed them. So he says to Philip, one of his disciples, a leader, someone he's trying to teach and bring along the path, where can we get bread to feed these people? And what does Philip say? How does Philip respond to Jesus' invitation, his question? Philip's answer is horizontal. It's earthly. It's worldly. Limited by his experience. He can't think outside the square or new possibilities. Philip's got the blinkers on, like we all do sometimes. We refuse to think about other options or new ways of doing things, limited by our experiences of the past or the present. And it's a safe place to be. What does John tell us in the Gospel? Jesus is testing Philip. He only said this to test Philip, to see what he'd respond. Jesus is trying to push him a little bit, to see if he can rise to the occasion. We're all tested, of course, by the situation sometimes, and it's easy just to stay with the status quo. Like lockdown tests us, and we do need sometimes to think and act differently. But unfortunately this morning, Philip flunks the test. Hence the need for the second lesson in the Gospel for all of us. So Philip fails, what happens? What does Jesus say? Make the people sit down. Make the people sit down. Was it just that they needed a rest? Just that it's easy to sort things out? Yes, perhaps. But there's a deeper lesson here for them and for all of us today, here and now. Friends, the gesture of sitting, particularly in the culture of that time, was one of receptivity, listening, receiving, learning, like students learning from teachers. As if Jesus is saying, sit down. Now listen, I've got something to tell you and something to show you. Philip got it wrong, but I'm going to show you what's right. As members of the Bayside Mission, I suspect there's a bit of Philip in all of us. We look to the status quo, to our own experience. We've always done it this way. Don't think outside the square. Don't let the Holy Spirit in. It's a bit scary. And yet, maybe the crowd can teach us to docility, to sit at the feet of the Master, to be fed, to be nourished, to see miracles happen. If we are to flourish, if we are to grow, if we are to be a mission to everyone in Bayside, then we need to sit at the feet of the Master and learn, to take time to listen, to pray, to be open. We do, as Catholics today, need to think outside the square. We need to do things a bit differently, not just think about me or guarding my own turf. The people sit down. They didn't know what was going to happen, but they listened, they trusted, they let go, and the Lord fed them in abundance. The hand of the Lord fed them. He answered all their needs. So there's a lesson here for all of us in lockdown, and closer to home, all of us here in Bayside Mission. We are being called to do things a bit differently, to let go of those old ways, just because it was always like that. It doesn't mean that we change the church or what we believe or our creed our liturgy or our doctrine. These things we hold true. It does, however, mean that the way that we impart our faith, the way that we share our faith, the way that we draw others into our faith and parish life must be different. The old ways have served us well, but it's time for some new thinking. So, friends, the invitation for us perhaps today is to sit down, to listen to Jesus, to be fed by him as the crowd was. And if we do so in humility and docility, we will realise, as the crowds did realise, that the hand of the Lord feeds us. He answers all our needs.